on this historic occasion where Odisha FC and Watford FC signing this partnership. So we're really delighted to have you all here for this press conference. Thank you all for joining this. And so it's a new association for us with the Premier League club, Watford FC, as our international club partners. And for this virtual press conference, we have amongst us from Odisha FC, Mr. Raj Atwal, who is our club president. We have Mr. Abhik Chatterjee, who is head of football operations at Odisha FC. And on behalf of the Watford Football Club, we have Mr. Paul O'Brien, commercial director of Watford FC. We have Mr. Richard Walker, who is head of communication and media relations from Watford, and Mr. Rohan Shukla, international marketing executive from India. Very warm welcome, gentlemen, for this press conference, and a warm welcome to all our journalists and media friends joining us from Odisha and from other parts of the country as well. So let's get it started. I would first request Mr. Raj Atwal for the welcome address on behalf of Odisha FC. Small brief about the partnership.
Yeah, firstly, I'd like to say I'm absolutely delighted and excited with the partnership with Watford. As many know, I worked at the club previously, so I knew a lot about the club. And the partnership itself, they're a very ambitious football club. They have a vision that's very similar to ours, aligned to Odisha Football Club's ambitions and our what we want to achieve as a club and our vision. And the partnership itself it's about the substance. And what we're talking about is in terms of the community development academy. It will totally change the landscape for Odisha Football Club. We'll be looking at our first team to potentially have a pre-season here next season. We will also have several of our youth players who will be able to train with the Watford Football Club academy teams, which will not only develop the aspects of their own game, but it'll also help Odisha Football Club, but also Indian football as well. And across the board, from a commercial aspect, on and off the pitch, there is so many different facets that will be essential to the club for us to progress as Odisha Football Club. And from that angle, it's, Watford have bought into this. It's a fantastic club. It's got a great fan base that's diverse and inclusive. And let's not forget the women's football as well. So that's going to be key to our development in Odisha. So overall, I'd like to thank Watford Football Club, the Odisha government, the owners for helping to facilitate this international partnership that is very, very unique.
You're on mute, sorry, Ben.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Atwal, for your initial comments. Now we'll want to move across to Mr. Paul O'Brien for his initial reactions regarding this partnership.
Yeah, so thank you. I think going back a few years, India was an area where we really wanted to expand our fan base into, but we didn't really have a strategy about it. We tried a lot of on the ground activities, but we didn't have an objective, what our objective was. So then just by chance, I met Rohan at UCFB, a university. He was just finishing his master's. We had a chat from there, and Rohan had an idea of a new strategy, which we employed Rohan and implemented that strategy. And one of the opportunities was to look to partner with a club in India. Now, Rohan came up with a number of options which didn't seem right for us for a number of reasons, but Odisha did. And then that evening, I'm talking to a friend of mine on the phone, and he said, "Oh, do you know Raj has gone to Odisha?" And I'm grabbing my phone, trying to phone Raj, like on this, saying that let's have this call. It's just everything seemed to click into one. So Raj and I had a call. I explained that our objectives isn't to get into India, grab a database and run out with just to get some fans. We wanted on the ground activities. We wanted grassroots activities. And Raj absolutely bought into that. So that's where it started from there. And then very kindly, Raj introduced me to the club owners, and that's where the relationship started. And now I'm very proud to be with you guys today announcing it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paul, for your initial reactions. So we'll be opening the floor for a few questions from our media friends. I would request you all to use the raise your hand option, and you can ask your question, mention whom you're asking the question, and then you can follow that up with the question. Go ahead, Taruka.
Hi. Firstly, hello to both Raj, Rohan, Paul. I've already said hi to Richard. So I'm Taraka. I own the Plainox, which is a sports marketing digital platform. And I also work with iSport Connect. I work in sport and also media consultant for Manchester United in India. So my question to actually both Raj and Paul is, you spoke about focusing on women's football as well. Tell us more about that. I mean, will we be looking pan India, to get more women and finally have a separate women's team for Odisha FC? And obviously, we can't forget that we are amidst the pandemic, so things might get delayed. When it comes to execution level. So, what are your plans with all of that?
Yeah. Do you want me to start, Paul? Yeah. Women's football first. Yeah, women's football is absolutely key. When I came to Odisha Football Club, one of the key elements and one of the deliverables that the club said to me was that we're there to enhance the men's football. It's very, very important that we don't take our eye off women's football. So and that was another reason with joining with Watford Football Club is their professional setup they got with women's development. As you see, Molly Kamita was there today. She has Indian ancestry. Very, very keen to come over and support us. So we're still in the throes of perhaps development of women's football. It's still in its embryonic stages, but there is definitely a commitment there. Hence the reason that we're mentioning it. And I feel that it's important that alongside the men's football, and it's taken many, many years in the UK to develop that, but it's happening. But we have the opportunity now in India to grow women's football, especially in Odisha. We are committed to it. And as I said, we were the Watford ladies captain and one of their players, Molly, was there today, and they're on board with us. But again, it's not something that will happen overnight. We have to plan it correctly and execute it correctly, as you've quite rightly said earlier. But the commitment is there, and that's the key. And we will start very, very soon. Again, the pandemic has certainly hampered a lot of our training schedules, developments, even from the men's as well as the women's. But we are now, as we speak, there is scouting going on at the moment in Odisha. So we are trying, and hopefully we will over the next few months be able to announce something, certainly some positive news.
Cool. Thank you.
And just to come into this, we are one club at Watford. Our men's and women's team sit side by side. We're very, very passionate about our women's team. Richard, who's on the call, actually leads a women's team here. A GM reports to him. I think one of the big points with Odisha was that they were taking women's football seriously. And I don't think we would be sitting here if they weren't, because it's not anyone who doesn't think that women's football will go crazy soon is deluded or ignorant. So we're very happy to be part of this journey.
Great.
Thank you both. I think Marcus is going to ask a question. Over to you.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question for maybe Raj and Rohan, both can answer separately. How difficult or how easy is it for an Indian club to stitch a partnership with a team in the Premier League?
Okay, if I answer that, I've worked in English football or British football for the last 25, 26 years. So is it difficult? From my angle, it's about having the right club. And it's about the substance, not the badge, which is why we went to Watford. But is it difficult? I don't know. To be honest, I think Rohan might be able to answer that. But because I'm very well versed with various people in the football industry in the UK, it perhaps wasn't as difficult as contacting the clubs. I think the most important thing for us was the actual partnership, not by name but by substance, Marcus. So I'm not sure if that's answered your question, but it wasn't perhaps as difficult as we thought it would be. It was just to get the right blend of the facets of what we wanted to do, really, and what both clubs wanted to do. And like I said, our ambitions and visions were pretty much aligned.
Was it actually easier for you because you worked at Watford before?
I think it was easy in the sense that me and Paul have known each other for a long time. I know the club very well. Had 4 fantastic seasons here. It's a family club. So from that angle, I would probably say yes. But at the same time, it had to be right for Odisha, just as it had to be right for Watford Football Club.
Rohan, can you please explain what went behind actually getting this deal done or getting this partnership done?
It was extremely difficult in terms of the fact that when we were reaching out to ISL clubs, to be able to convince them that we're looking to do something very different, which is not similar to the partnerships which have happened in the past, and we're actually catering towards not just getting into India, creating a fan base and leaving as quick as we can, but actually staying there and making a difference. I think to be able to convince people was very time consuming, and constant meetings were being held with different clubs for this purpose. The thing is, with Odisha FC, I think they understood the vision very clearly as to how we were going to be very different. I think Abik's on the call here, Ayan's on the call here. So these people understood that there is something which we're trying to do, which is unique in its way, but will help develop Indian football going ahead. So I think from our perspective, yes, it was very difficult to convince people, but when the right team, which is Odisha FC here, was on board, it was very easy because the conversation changed from just trying to convince people to how we can go about this to make a difference towards Indian football.
Thank you, Rohan.
Anthony, can I just add on to that? Personally, I don't think it's difficult to get a partnership, but it is an agreement, but it's difficult to get a true partnership, and it's difficult to align our values together. And I think that's what we got very fortunate with Odisha, that we found someone we could align with. I was chatting to Raj earlier. We was chatting about some other opportunities that we could have gone down a line of, or other opportunities. It just wasn't right for us. So I don't think it's that hard, but it is hard to genuinely find a true partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else with a question?
Can I ask one topic?
Yeah, please, Marcus.
Yeah, Abik, hi, this is Marcus. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, Abik, one of the press release actually mentioned that there could possibly be loan options for Odisha from Watford. Have you tried this loan option this season itself, or will it be for the future? Did you try? Because the window has already shut, so now you cannot move players. But did you look at Watford players to join Odisha for this particular season?
Is that for Abik?
Abik or anyone who can answer this.
Do you want me to answer it, Abik?
Yeah, Raj, go ahead.
Yeah. The answer is simple: is no. We didn't. It's certainly in this window. And as you know, the partnership was only cemented in terms of for today as it was announced. But certainly I wouldn't rule out any future opportunities, and you can't rule that out ever. So yeah. So certainly for the future, we'll certainly look at it.
Thank you, Raj.
Thank you. Next, Yash Pratap Singh from Khel now, if you have any question.
Yeah, am I audible? So my question is for Paul. Paul, could you please tell us about how Watford is going to help Odisha FC set up the youth system in India?
Who's that aimed for? Sorry, who's that?
Could you please tell us about how Watford is going to help Odisha set up the youth system in India?
Well, to be fair, a youth system isn't just, it's not, it's not the same jigsaw everywhere. We need to have a long conversations with Raj and a team at Odisha to see what help they need. We've got an academy here, which we've made some big changes in the last year, and it's thriving now. Our academy director has been part of this all the way. So we don't know how we're going to help them yet, because we don't know, we can't fix something. We don't know what's broken at the moment, or if anything's broken. So what we need to do is actually get some time on the ground in Odisha and see some of what we can help with. But youth football is not a 5-minute fix. You're not going to see. It's not going to be that we get involved on day one, and on day two you see a new star coming through. This is going to take years for these roots to actually come through and blossom. So I don't think I've answered your question there at all, but I don't know how we can help. One thing I can say is we are going to be there to help with developing the youth system in Odisha.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think I saw Shyam raising a hand as well.
Hi guys, am I audible? Hi everyone. So my question is to both Raj and Paul. At a time like this, like the pandemic, which curtails, I think one of the primary activities when you have a tie-up is on-ground activities. You want to have on-ground activations, and you want to have, programs, reach out programs, essentially community engagement programs. But a time like now, when the pandemic curtails your ability to do that, how do you, essentially, how does a tie-up essentially get underway right away? Is it more of just technical acumen at this point, where you exchange ideas and bounce ideas off each other, or how does it essentially play out as it stands currently?
Do you want me to answer, Paul?
Yes, please.
Yeah. First of all, the pandemic has hampered a lot of issues with football, as we all know, and it's been unprecedented times. However, if you look in India now, all the games are being played in Goa, so it's about finding that right solution. But please bear in mind, this isn't just about developing footballers. We're talking about nutrition. We're talking about analysis. We're talking about all aspects of the industry on and off the pitch, where there'll be a support from Watford and vice versa. And so we'll work around what we can, but there are so many different facets to the partnership that I'm sure over time, and it's a 3-year deal. Please, remember that it's not something that we're expecting to oversee in the next 3-4 months. It will take time. It will evolve, and nothing's set in stone. But the key to this partnership that is unique, and I keep saying this, is that it's an opportunity for development of our young players, boys and girls. And this is where Watford be instrumental in supporting us, as well as all the other areas that is going to be key to changing the landscape in Odisha and football in Odisha.
Thank you. Anyone else with a question? Shyam, you want to continue? Yeah, please.
No, I just said thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else with a question from our journalist friends? Yeah, Siddharth, please.
Hi, so this is Siddharth from The Bridge. My question is to Raj and Paul again. So I just wanted to know, you said it's a 3-year deal and it's a process that you have, trying to put in with Odisha FC and Watford, and it's going to be a vice versa exchange. Is there any angles or thought process behind how you're going to measure the impact both of you had on each other over the 3 years, and how do you plan this to happen once the pandemic changes? Like the situations in the pandemic change?
I'm sure Paul will have his thoughts on this. As I said, it's with the pandemic. We'll try and work around it, but how you measure it, for us, it will be developing our players. It will be sharing best practice. Let's not forget Watford, as a Premier League club, that right across the board, from their analysis, from nutrition, from their diet, to commercially. They're very well versed with these areas, and so this will be a huge support for us. So how you measure it, it's difficult to say. I'm not sure what you think, Paul, but over time, I think we'll be able to sort of sit down and see how far we have developed as a team. I think it's.
Yeah, I think this isn't a brand taking out a big sponsorship where we need to measure what our ROI is or return on objective is. We're all grown-ups. We're all very decent human beings. So I think we'll sit across each other and see if this works. And if things aren't working, then we'll address it. But we've got a clear roadmap here of how we're going to achieve this. Or how we're going to work together. So then we can sit down and see in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 2 years, how it's worked. And if there's things which aren't working, we'll address it. And go from there. But I don't think we need to put KPIs in to really measure it right now. Have strict KPIs. I think we just sit across the table and actually have a grown-up conversation. That's always how we've worked together so far.
Okay. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I see Swapnil Parasar from Indian Super League's media team. Go ahead, Swapnil.
Hello, gentlemen. This is Swapnil from the ISL. We've seen the ISL and the Premier League, work together in the last few years, create synergies across various platforms and various programs. A question to the Watford management: how appealing has the ISL or the Indian football been the past few years? To make a mark for yourself, or and of course, I'm broadly speaking about the whole partnership with Odisha FC. How do you see this plan forward? Is it just a 3-year thing? Do you want to test the waters for 3 years, or do you look at it as a lifelong association of sorts?
Well, firstly, can I pass Rohan? Can I pass that on to you? The questions about the ISL, then I'll take the turn.
So in terms of the Indian Super League, obviously it's been growing since the first edition was launched. We've seen more and more players, more and more famous players who have gone from abroad to the Indian Super League, to various teams, and have helped not only develop the club in terms of various different aspects, but also help the players develop, the Indian young players. And I think just looking at that, looking at the way it's functioned, the way it's gone about, I think the ISL has really picked up across the years, and it is really becoming a big thing in India and abroad in terms of the players that are coming on board. I think Let's Football, their tagline is everywhere. It's become as popular. Obviously, it's not the Indian Premier League, but it's something which is closely being monitored in terms of becoming more and more popular as we speak. And football itself is carving its own niche. It's carving itself its own audience. So I think, yes, the ISL has been growing, and it continues to grow with each edition.
Thank you. Anyone else with a question? Yeah, Marcus, please.
Yeah, Abhik, hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, Marcus, loud and clear.
Abhik, Odisha FC did quite badly last season. You couldn't qualify for the playoffs, which was your target. You finished right at the bottom. But this season it's been completely different to what was there last season. You have a tie-up with you have David Villa on board. Now you have Watford on board. You have made some great signings. So what can we expect this season from Odisha FC?
Thank you, Marcus. I think first and foremost, when Raj joined the club, I think the vision was pretty clear. The vision was to ensure that we change a perception about the club. We wanted to be a progressive brand, and I think we've done a lot of work off the pitch and equally a lot of work on the pitch as well. There was a big focus in terms of ensuring that we get structures in place, and obviously Raj, with his experience, has been able to help us transition into a sort of model wherein we're able to work out things a bit more clearly. And like you mentioned, last season wasn't exactly great. I think nobody's proud of it, but I think this season it's equally, with the partnership with Watford and all the work that we've been doing on the field as well, everybody's very optimistic. I think for a football club, of course, a lot of people will measure it in terms of where you finish it in the table. But I think for football people, like a lot of us on the call, It's about the impact that you make in your community, and it's about the impact that you can make with football in your particular state or the catchment area that you belong in. And our main motive this season is to ensure that anybody who's looking at Odisha FC from the outside sees it as an exciting brand to get associated with. Players looking at Odisha FC should think, wow, I can join this club, and there's an opportunity for me maybe to go to Watford, train there, and if I'm good enough, there's a pathway for me to make it at the very top level. That attraction factor has to exist, and we've worked very hard on that to project ourselves in that way, and also to make sure that we're taking concrete steps towards the same. And as Paul and Rohan have also stated, a lot of it exactly cannot be put into a KPI form and presented in terms of the impact it'll have. But looking at the steps that we've taken, I'm sure you'll come to know as the partnership progresses about the milestones that we're hitting, that all of what we're doing is with the best intentions in mind. It's not a passing fad. It is actually to make an impact within India, within Odisha. And hopefully this translates onto the pitch as well. All this energy translates onto the pitch, and we can give our fans and we can give the Indian football community something very special this season in terms of results as well.
Thanks, Abhik, and best of luck for the season.
Thank you, Abhik, and thanks, Marcus. We'll take one last question before we wrap up the session. So if anyone is interested for one last question in this press conference. I think not quite. So
Chiranjeevi, I'm happy. I just wanted to reflect the views of our players from earlier, if I may, just to everyone listening. We had Tom Cleverley, Ben Foster and Musa Sissoko join some broadcast media earlier, and they were really excited by the possibilities. And in fact, more so under the sort of spotlight of questions, but in terms of just chatting away from the camera, just finding out a little bit more about Indian culture and Odisha, not just the club, the state as well, and quite how impactful this partnership could be. These guys live in a bubble, so to speak, because, and I don't mean that in a COVID sense, but because of the world they live in, where times and dates are dictated to them for training and match day schedules. But actually, these guys are human beings as well behind all that professional footballer front, and they were really enthralled by what they've learned today about Odisha and its ambitions to become a big name in the ISL and a big player. And equally, just so everyone's clear, Watford is a very small place on this planet, clearly, and not one of the biggest clubs by stadium size or followings in the Premier League. But we are known as the original family club for a reason, that we've got a heritage and a history that's very much based in the local community and serving our local community, which we've done throughout the COVID pandemic. So make no mistake, we're looking to create, to widen our global family, and we see as today as welcoming Odisha into that, just as they're welcoming us into their family. So we look forward to making more of our players and other key staff accessible to Indian journalists and reporters throughout the season ahead. Okay.
Thank you. Coming to you only. So it's better that you have explained everything out there. So before we wrap it up, I would request Abhik Chatterjee to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of everyone here at Odisha FC and at Watford as well.
Thanks, Chiranjeevi. Thank you so much, everybody, for taking time out and attending this. All of us were really excited. There's been a lot of work that's gone into this. Raj has spearheaded this, and I know from Watford side, Paul and Rohan have been working tirelessly to get this over the line. A big thank you to Watford. I think they really understood what we wanted to do with respect to Indian football. I think there's a real synergy there, and the intentions are very pure. Like Paul said, and like Raj has said, and I want to reiterate that the roots, in essence, are based in our want to do better for the football community in India, and also give Watford an opportunity to feel what India is all about understand the football landscape here, and for both the clubs to engage in something that can be very, very special in the future. A big thank you also to the government of Odisha, who've been extremely supportive throughout our association with them. As like all of you know, and there's an example for all of us to see, like they've supported the Indian hockey team also that brought us laurels in the recent Olympics. They share that same passion for us, our team, and their want is the same for the club to excel and for the community of Odisha to grow and become a force to reckon with, not only within India, but to produce footballers that can make their mark on the national stage. They are extremely, extremely passionate about this partnership and about the development of women's football as well. So we are very, very excited about where this can go down the road. And finally, I think it wouldn't be amiss to also thank the Indian Super League as well, because they've also been very supportive. They've chipped in with their suggestions, and they've held our hand through the final stages of this to ensure that the partnership is presented to you in its current form, the Indian Super League and Star Sports. So finally, a big thank you to all of you for attending, and extremely excited about where this partnership is headed.
Thanks a lot, Abhik, and thank you each and everyone for joining this session. It was really a pleasure. Looking forward to a wonderful season ahead for Odisha FC, and all the best to Watford for the Premier League season as well.
Thank you.
Thank you to all the journalists for joining this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are we off now? Can I leave? Yeah.